I wrote A Good Person during the pandemic. We were in lockdown, and I had had a lot of loss and grief in my life at the time, and I wanted to write about what that feels like, and my desire to stand back up and be okay again, and also the people I love who were even closer to the loss than I was, wondering how they were going to stand up again and be okay. And so I wanted to write about that, and I wanted to do it in a way that was also not just dramatic but humorous, because a lot of times the darkest times of my life have been rescued by laughter and humor. I also wanted to write something for Florence Pugh, because I think she's an extraordinary actress, and so that theme and that actress were kind of the genesis of A Good Person. Themes that are explored in this film are forgiveness, redemption, addiction, grief, but also how family and love and friendship help us stand back up again after really horrible times. Florence is just an incredible actress. She not only is she incredible on the screen, but just the vibe she brings to set. She's just so low maintenance, and she bonds with the crew, and she makes everybody laugh, and she helps me, the filmmaker, create such a fun atmosphere on set. So it's particularly helpful when you're making a movie that can be very emotional at times. She really just helped everyone stay buoyant and made sure we had a good time. Well, I made a heist comedy with Morgan, and so that was a completely different kind of film, but it really helped us get to know each other and form a friendship, and I got to learn how he likes to work, and he got to trust me as a filmmaker. And so I think it really helped go into a movie that was quite dramatic, and it allowed him to trust me, to push him to go to places as an actor I don't think he's gone to in a while, and I'm just one of his biggest fans, and I wanted to see him really go for it, and so I think we were able to do that as a team. Well, Allison and Daniel couldn't be further apart. In fact, this tragedy is the one thing that would bring them together. They're a friendship that would most likely never occur in real life, but the circumstances bring them together, and they both really need each other. They're both grieving this. They're both grieving the same thing, but they're doing it separately, and fate and circumstance bring them together. And even though they could never imagine that the other person would be the one helping them, they form this bond, and they also serve as surrogates in a way to each other. She doesn't have a father in her life, and he becomes a paternal figure. He's lost his daughter and really needs help with his granddaughter. She's a young woman who can certainly give him better advice than he knows on how to talk to a 16-year-old girl. So there's this push and pull, there's this tension. They need each other. They're both grieving the same thing, but they're very scared and afraid of each other because of the pain of what's happened. Molly's just the best. In fact, the very first episode of Scrubs I ever directed, Molly was the guest star, and I knew that she'd be hilarious, but she also had a dramatic arc in that particular episode, and she was so good. And so I locked in the back of my brain that I wanted to work more with Molly one day. And when it came time for this character, I thought, well, we definitely need some comic relief in this movie, and we know Molly can bring that. But the character of Diane also has a lot of dramatic stuff too. And so I think, for any audience that doesn't know it yet, they just know her as the hilarious woman from SNL. They're about to see just how incredible she is as an actress. I think the relationship between Allison and her mom is very challenging, because her mom is, she's been a single mother. They were both abandoned by Allison's father. The only thing he left them was a watch, and he just left. So they've been struggling. Her mother has her own issues with drinking and popping pills, but she loves Allison very much, and she's there for her. But she just doesn't know how to help her. She ends up enabling her addiction to OxyContin because she doesn't want any pain to come to her daughter. So when she tries a little bit of tough love and her daughter reacts by disappearing, she's so quick to fall back on just relying on the drug for now and saying we'll beat it later, because she's so terrified of any more pain coming to her daughter. Well, I wanted it to just be very still. In a lot of stuff I've done before, there's a lot of camera movement, there's a lot of exciting, crane moves and camera moves and flashy cinematography. I was lucky on this film to work with Mauro Fiore, who's just an incredibly talented, beautiful cinematographer, and we talked about having the movie be very still. I said to him, I want it to feel like you could hit pause at any moment and it would be a still that you could hang on your wall. And so we really set out to really create beautiful, simple frames. The camera does move, of course, a couple times, but it's the most restrained I've ever been with the camera. I wanted it to feel like a series of beautiful photographs. I hope that audiences go to the theater and share it with friends and family. I think it's a movie best experienced in the theater in a communal setting. There's something really powerful about experiencing an emotional movie with a group of people and including a group of strangers. I personally love that. I love the silence of a theater when it's an intense moment, and the laughter of an audience when there's humor. I hope they go to it, and there's a lot in the movie up for interpretation. So I hope that they go and it inspires conversation afterwards.